Okay, you guys, so this is from the Christian Post. I do like a lot of these religious newspapers or online sites because they really do get into the nitty-gritty. Church of Scientology abused volunteers with 72-hour shifts and $10 a week. Let us all be reminded that they omit the word child because it's always omitted. All day, every day. By Luza Oleshik, Christian Post reporter. That's how you do it. You actually have a name. I don't like all that Associated Press crap. And that was dated September 16th, 2011. The Church of Scientology has violated Australian law by making its employees work up to 72 hours without a break for as little as $10 a week. Apparently, LAPD can't get a hold of that. How much does the LAPD get paid? Interesting. The Fair Work Ombudsman stated Friday, after an 18-month probe. There's that number again. Okay, you guys, I'm not the best in math, but isn't it 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18? Weird. The ruling came despite the fact that the Scientologists attempted to label some workers, like kids, as volunteers rather than employees. The agency started an investigation in March 2010 after it was reported by the Australian TV network ABC that the church abused its workers, like children, and violated the Australian Fair Work Act. Imagine that, you guys. Almost like someone in power wanted to not follow the laws because the laws don't apply to them. Could it be that they're benefiting off the child slave labor and the adult slave labor? Interesting. Workers were allegedly directed to work up to 72 hours without a break in order to complete the assigned tasks for as little as $10 a week. This is before they got their whopping $47 raise. Hint, hint. At a time, the agency stated, the minimum wage for a full-time adult, these are for the adults, you guys, so not even counting the kids. The minimum wage for a full-time adult before shift and weekend penalties is $543.78 for a 38-hour week in Australia, it added. Well, isn't that an interesting number? 38. 38. One of the most infamous death numbers. Weird. Guess all that talk about death cults is just a fallacy of people's imagination. The agency also found that a significant level of control and direction was applied to workers, like children, by more senior church members, like prestigious executives, who held positions of authority. Huh. Does LAPD know about that? Worker accused the Scientologists of using unconscionable tactics to keep them in their work commitment. Huh. Wonder if that would count like holding like a 13 or 14-year-old child down on the ground with 6 adults like Jenna Miscavige went through. Don't you guys wonder that? Or like Brenna. Brenna said she went through something similar. Think she was a 3rd-generation Scientologist? Or possibly 4th? Yeah. That's why people can't break out of it, because of this. It's kind of like a generational curse in a way, isn't it? The Scientologists declared that with it being a religious entity in the face of the law, there isn't any worker relationship or employer relationship. Therefore, Fair Work Act could not apply, the Australian agency stated. I'm trying to figure out what agency. There they go, omitting stuff again. It described payments offered to its workers. See, they never can figure out what people are. Either they're a worker, like a worker bee, or sometimes they call them employees. One day they're parishioners. The next day, what's the other word? Oh, they love the ecclesiastical leader one. Woo! That gets them all excited. As a small amount to enable them to perform their duties by covering the cost of travel, babysitters. Babysitters, you guys. Interesting. How many nanny stories have we heard? Food and other expenses, not a reward for services rendered. However, the Ombudsman office was not convinced. That's what real men look like, you guys. And appealed to workers that if they consider that they are being subjected to intimidation or other illegal pressure to continue to provide their labor, they should contact police. Do you guys see what just happened there? I'm not gonna snap out tonight. I'm not gonna snap out. In many instances, the witnesses provided considerable free labor to the Church of Scientology. Does anybody see the word child here? I'm just saying, children or child? Over a period of several years to the Church of Scientology. The Ombudsman wrote in a statement where they either knew or ought to have known that they were unlikely to be paid for that work from an early stage. The Ombudsman also called the Scientology Church a bureaucratized organization, kind of like a pyramid, huh? Interesting. Which appears to have imported practices and procedures into Australia with little thought to workplace relations laws or child labor laws. Not to mention laws against grown-ass men hurting little girls, and in some cases little boys. The Church of Scientology replied, the one with no spokesman name, excuse me. The Church of Scientology replied that it duly notes, isn't that wonderful? Scientology duly notes the Ombudsman's recommendations. It's a recommendation, you guys. So with Scientology, they don't have to follow the law. It's a recommendation. According to ABC, at the same time, the Scientologists' legal counsel, Louise McBride, called the agency's statement misleading in the extreme. They do find creative ways to deflect, don't they? The central finding was positive for the church, she told ABC, that none of the complainants are employees and were in fact volunteers. Oh, they love that. They love that. So do the J Dubs. So does the King's Tribe, I think it's called. I'm going to have to go look into some more of the Gematria Volunteer. Australia's Fair Work Ombudsman is a governmental organization. Imagine that, you guys. Monitoring the job market, allegedly, for potential workers' rights violations. It opened its investigation into the church's ways. Into the church's ways, you guys. Like working children illegally, unlawfully. Working adults unlawfully. After claims made by ABC's show Four Corners suggested on March 18th, the 18 again, 2010, that they love their holidays, by the way, which I've got a calendar somewhere, that major violations took place in the Scientology church's workforce procedures. So I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.